people await the arrival of a new season for many different reasons. Winter, cozy evenings in the blankets, hot chocolate, and shitty Christmas movies that, for some reason, we all love. Then there's autumn, with its beautiful colors and rainy days. It has the same eerie aesthetic as its biggest festivity. Third comes summer, when we can spend our days on the beach or tan by the poolside with an ice-cold drink in our hands. And finally, there is spring, when we celebrate the resurrection of Jesus Christ by eating colored eggs. Yeah. Unfortunately, all of this doesn't apply to us filthy weeps. The only reason we actually wait for a new season to arrive is new anime. Now, if you're a veteran weeb, you probably already know about the dozens of new series that air with every new season. But if you only recently fell into this endless void of edgy protagonists, incestuous relationships, and cute waifus, you might be shocked at the amount of animated goods that we weeps are continuously blessed with. Well, obviously not all that glitters is gold. Every season since the beginning of time has always had its highs and lows. Unfortunately, in the last years, the discrepancy between good and bad anime is becoming extremely noticeable, as well as the absolute absence of originality. You could just take a look at the sheer amount of isekai series that are being released faster than fucking mice are produced, with the main character that all looks like a cheap copy and paste of Kirito. Now seriously, these are all different characters. Now don't get me wrong, we do get absolute gems once in a while, like this, or even this. No, not you. A couple of weeks ago I couldn't fall asleep and it was already dark outside, so I just kind of sat in front of my window and I noticed how the view, although being extremely similar to the way it looks during the day, well, now it had a completely different feeling to it. It felt so welcoming and boundless. No people that will look at you, no annoying noises, nothing. It was just me and the dim moonlight. At that moment I got kind of curious and I tried to search for a series that could give me the same type of feeling I just felt from looking at those dark, empty streets out of my window. And for my surprise, well, I actually found it. The series is called Call of the Night, or Yofukashi no Ta in Japanese. I went to the nearest manga store and bought the first 3 volumes, and I was extremely surprised that it also got an anime adaptation that is actually airing right now and that I am following. When I first saw the main character of the series, well, the art style gave me a sort of a deja vu. Yeah, and then I discovered that the story is written by a certain author called Kotoyama. You might know him because of a series called Dagashikashi, which I actually watched just the first season and didn't particularly enjoy the story, although I really liked the character design. So this series, as you might have already imagined from the title, well, it talks about the night, or more precisely about nightlife. But it is not the chaotic, loud, and full of drunk people one. This series talks about a completely different type of nightlife. Actually, the same one that I sort of witnessed looking out of my window. This series follows the everyday life of Ko Yamori. Ko is a 14-year-old middle schooler whose life, although going on quite smoothly, for some reason, well, it doesn't fully satisfy him. Or maybe it sort of just tires him. He's got good grades and he even gets asked out by one of his classmates. Although he responds by saying that he doesn't exactly know what it means to be in love with somebody. So, tired of this mundane lifestyle, he decides to quit school. Ko suffers from insomnia, so one day he decides to take a walk during the night, and after a failed attempt at using a swing at the park and trying to buy a beer at the vending machine, he meets this mysterious girl with a cape who says that she can help him cure his insomnia if he accepts to follow her to her place. And what do you think his response was? Well, a weird woman he meets in the middle of the night asks him to follow her, and yes, he said. Honestly though, this dude's balls dropped before his surviving instincts did. Obviously, it doesn't take a while for the situation to become quite weird. Well, after arriving at her shady apartment, she straight up sucks his blood. In the meantime, Ko, a middle schooler who has basically never even felt the touch of a normal girl, is not even remotely creeped out by the situation. No, even worse, after he finds out that the girl is actually a vampire called Nazuna, he decides that he also wants to become a vampire. Well, only problem being, in order to become a vampire, he first needs to fall in love with Nazuna. So without further questions, he just starts his journey to fall in love with a vampire. Well, that is basically the premise of the story. Now, do not expect this premise to develop into an incredible, jaw-dropping story filled with deep characters and intricate plot lines. The best quality of the series is actually its atmosphere. It presents these empty streets that just a couple of hours earlier were vibrant and full of people going on about their lives that once the sun sets become almost unrecognizable. I'm sure that you yourself may have walked down the same street that, for example, connects your house to your school or even your nearest grocery store 100 times during the day. But have you noticed that when you walk down the same street at night even once, it feels like a completely different world? All those buildings that hundreds of people go in and out during the day now feel like empty shells. The night brings freedom. Freedom to be what you want to be, to do all those things that we can't do during daytime, to feel in a way that is impossible during daytime. Once the sun sets, you're given the opportunity to feel like you actually own your life, that your desires and choices are only your own. The night is the only time when all of our worries, all of our responsibilities feel meaningless. That is the power of the night. That is also why Ko decides that he wants to become a vampire. He wants to become a creature of the night in order to be able not to care about the day. Well, technically this is a story about vampires. Personally, since I was little, I've always found vampires extremely fascinating. These night creatures that have an impeccable drip and cool hairstyles, that can only come out during the night and that have to drink human blood in order to survive. That's extremely cool, but the vampires in Call of the Night, well, they also do, in a way, follow the same stereotypes, but when vampires, especially in Western media, are often described as these heartless creatures that can feel emotions and only care about themselves, well, the vampires in this series are, well, quite different. Nazuna, for example, is presented as an extremely sassy girl that tries to look mature, that always makes these sexual jokes with Cole, but which at the same time gets extremely embarrassed. For example, every time he talks about falling in love with her, or even anything remotely love related. We can also see her get extremely jealous when she finds Ko sitting on a bench in a park with another girl. Well, my point is that the vampires in this series are, well, they're extremely humanized. They have feelings, they can feel embarrassed or jealous, and they can care about others other than themselves. And I think that makes this series quite unique in a sense. Now, style-wise, both the manga and the anime adaptation are quite nice to look at. Especially in the anime, we can find some of the most beautiful backgrounds my eyes have ever had the opportunity to lay on. The animation is also buttery smooth, with an extremely beautiful color palette. Kotoyama has always been quite famous for his character design. His characters have a very distinct look to them, and especially the female ones. Now, Nazuna has a very unique and beautiful design that also leads to some amazing, slightly ecchi moments, but if I had to choose, I think that the character of Akira, Ko's ex-classmate, is just on a completely different level. Because, I mean, just look at her. Just look at her and tell me. Just look at her. Another aspect of this anime that I absolutely adored is the soundtrack. Well, Kotoyama actually came up with this story by listening to a song called Yufukashi no Ta, which also means Call of the Night. It's a song by a Japanese band called Creepy Nuts, which actually inspired Kotoyama to write the story. He actually even got the permission from the band to use their song title as the manga's title and also as its ending. Actually, the opening as well is a song by the same band. The soundtrack is a jazzy mix of rap and soft rock that almost reminds me of the Beastars opening that I absolutely loved. I think that the choice of music is also extremely fitting to the story because the slight upbeat music and the slow pacing of the story mix perfectly together into this finely crafted cocktail that is a pure joy both for the eyes and for the ears. Unfortunately, though, no series can be 100% flawless, so is the case with Call of the Night. Now, although all of these characters, as I've already said, are quite well developed and deep, sometimes they can be a little, how do I say this? So you know how I said that Ko is he's a good student, he gets good grades and stuff, yeah. Well, when it comes to physical abilities and the understanding of people's emotions, well, he feels like he's either a 3-year-old or an 80-year-old with a severe case of Alzheimer's. Because sometimes it feels like he almost hasn't ever spoken with people. And that's not the case because in the story it's said that he actually had quite a lot of friends when he was at school. Well, this series is also extremely slow paced. Now, we do have some quite dynamic scenes once in a while, as well as some good comedy sprinkled on the episodes, like salt on an extremely expensive steak, just the right amount. But if you're looking for something that is more story-based or even action-based, well, you may not find a lot about this anime enjoyable. I'm extremely glad that I managed to find a series that, although not being perfect by any means, well, it tried to bring something new and unique to the anime and manga world, which are both a little bit in a sort of grayish area right now. Well, thank you very much for watching this video. I really hope that thanks to it you might have also found a new series to enjoy and to follow. Thank you very much again. I really hope I'll see you in my next videos, and well, goodbye.